34 years old and he gets up at 12 and his socks still match. He didn't pay for his t-shirt. He doesn't like how things are, but that's how things is. He eats figurines like cold baked beans. He has to waste the day. He has to wait for her. He has to let the tiny little engines in his brain turn. He has some benefits, some medicine, things that stop him dreaming, things that stop his internal monologue reaching for the ceiling. Sometimes now he feels boring. He feels like he might chug to a halt without warning. She gets up early, but she doesn't get dressed yet. She listens to one album each day and she knows her guitar chords. She can't afford an instrument, but her mum is always working, so she assumes that it's a case of waiting. Life for her is a case of waiting. She sees flaws like tattoos in all the people and all their paintings. She gets money from the government. She gets £30 a week. She used to buy bad skin, thin rib cages and be unable to sleep. But now she's kicked that habit and all those others that die hard. She no longer lays awake and she shakes under the stars. She can be proud of her shape now, less her cutting hips. She's starting to be more than skin and soon you'll be able to squeeze her. Her friends are pretending to rap and doing ketamine off keys. They couldn't be more far away if they listened to the Bee Gees. She leaves for school like always and gets the bus like always. Silence costs nothing and therapy ain't cheap. Meanwhile, he brushes his teeth again. The sensation's better than talking. Silence costs nothing and therapy ain't cheap. He feels sorry for how things are for her, but that's just how things is. If there's still some God in the meter, he doesn't want to waste a wish. He's going now to that same park bench to meet his only friend. It's the closest thing he does to breathing, and at home he doesn't have a sofa. He pulls up in his old Jeep and she touches it with her hand. He lets her learn to drive on Sundays when policemen aren't around. They sit on their bench, the one that stares, the one they know so well, through splinters and sunlight patterns and how rain will fell. She rolls up a spliff for them. He tells her about the Crusades. She's done a few new drawings and she's brought them with her. He has some problems processing the image, but it makes her all the more eager to try and get through and explain what drawings do and help him see her. She's a scientist, and that always makes him laugh, but she just laughs straight back at him when he says she looks the part. He says it's getting too dark to read. Then she asked him if he dies, would he let her dissect her? He says he doesn't know because then she'd have the answers. He says, well, I'd know what's in you. But then I already know you. It's me. There's the mystery to me. He thinks awful hard with a smile and a token. He nods. He agrees. He asks if he can keep her art if one day she has to leave. She says, you can have my self-portraits. He says, well, I've never seen them. She says, well, you've never needed. He looks at her sideways. He says, do you have pictures of me? She says, what do you think I always show you? And she says, are you smoking enough there, buddy? And he says, I fucking hate Wednesdays. And she says, let's create a new week with days where you don't hate any. And she said, they worked it out and they drew it up and 2 days would be enough. There would be only 2 weeks left because any more was far too much. The first day they called chalk because it would all just wash off. And she didn't go to school because it would all just wash off. The second day they called darkness because it made them both so calm and they lay there like the stars, all blindfolds and conversation. The second chalk they decided to be artists and broke the boundaries of medium. They discovered that all their ideas put together produced a white wall. The second darkness came and they kissed just because there was nothing else to do. She rolled up a spliff and he rolled up a spliff and they depended it started with 2. And then the world ended and they were high when it happened, sitting on their favourite bench, and they threw their weed in the fire. The whole world laughed and they were consumed by flames. And since all that, I've built a new bench, one I will erect in the space where it used to be, and I will tear down that ribcage of a fence. I made it with bones and bits of old buildings, and I carved their names on with biro. I want to share it with the world and let people hear, so it's not just something that I know. Maybe one day more people will sit there and get high till they've lost their minds. If it's you, I'll lean over and say that I love you through smoke and a hazy mind, because I love you in those moments when your life couldn't be further from my mind. My life is a blank and I hope you can fill it because I left all that space for you.